Welcome to The Story of Nitrogen, one of the element girls from the Magical Periodic Table and the Element Girl series, Book 5. In this narrative, you will be introduced to nitrogen, a member of the nitrogen family with atomic number 7. One Sunday morning, my friend Mole reached out to me in distress, exclaiming, "You know those troublesome warts on my hand? My mom has scheduled a doctor's appointment for tomorrow to deal with them. I read online that doctors sometimes use liquid nitrogen to remove warts. I am curious about how that works. Could we pay a visit to nitrogen and inquire directly?" In just an hour, I packed a bag of dark chocolate energy bites and hopped on my bike with my magical periodic table. My faithful pet dog, Electron, bounded alongside my bike. Arriving at Mole's mom's nursery, we found Mole tending to the plants and her mom assisting customers. Electron gleefully explored the new scents in the area. We set up the periodic table beneath a towering oak tree. Mole pointed at her warts with a forlorn expression, and I handed her the bag of dark chocolate energy bites, which instantly brightened her face. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out, "Atom, Mole, wait for me." It was our classmate Albert, a fervent science enthusiast, dashing towards us. He exclaimed, "Mole, your mom mentioned that you are planning to visit nitrogen." I replied, "You have arrived just in time, Albert." Mole's mom gave us a thumbs up, indicating that Electron was in good hands, allowing us to embark on our adventure. We located nitrogen on the periodic table, and as the world whirled around us and our hearts raced, we found ourselves transported to another realm. In an instant, a brisk breeze and a brilliant blue sky greeted us. We stood on a vast meadow and witnessed skydivers descending with their parachutes. One parachute was covered in a glistening, sticky substance with giant drops of liquid dripping from it. I blinked to ensure I was not dreaming, and both Albert and Mole wore expressions of awe. As the parachutist drew closer, it became apparent that it was a girl in blue, wearing a broad smile, who joyfully exclaimed, "You scream, I scream, everyone screams for nitrogen ice cream." The mysterious substance turned out to be ice cream. Upon landing gracefully, we rushed towards her, and the parachute gently settled on the ground, its ice cream coating mysteriously vanishing. With a twinkle in her eye, she folded the parachute into a bag and then beamed at us. Waving her hand, she cheerfully introduced herself. "Hi, I'm Nitrogen. Welcome to Monterey. Skydiving here is exhilarating, and the scenery is just breathtaking." She added with a wink. "Plus, I simply love being in the air." With that, she extended her arms wide and began to run in circles, her boundless energy infectious. We followed suit, captivated by her enthusiasm. After about 20 minutes, she suggested, "Now, let's sit down and have a chat." We gathered around her eagerly. Surveying her surroundings, Nitrogen inquired, "What do you know about nitrogen?" I began, "You are the most prevalent element in the atmosphere, constituting 78% of the air." Albert chimed in, "We essentially live in a sea of nitrogen. Additionally, nitrogen is an indispensable component of our genetic code, found in DNA, proteins, and chlorophyll, making it essential for life." At that moment, I noticed the DNA double helix image on her skydiving suit. With an even broader smile, Nitrogen turned to Mole, who had her hand raised, patiently waiting for her turn. In her soft-spoken voice, Mole added, You are also present in soil and water, not as elemental nitrogen, but in the form of nitrate and nitrite compounds. Nitrogen applauded and asked, "Do any of you have more insights to share?" Drawing from my chemistry knowledge, I responded, "You possess 5 valence electrons, similar to the rest of the family 15. You are also a diatomic element, existing naturally as N2. Mole chimed in. In our science class, we learned that 2 nitrogen atoms form a triple covalent bond with each other. You proudly sport the triple bond on your attire." Nitrogen nodded in appreciation and said, "Impressive. This triple bond makes me a highly stable molecule. You've certainly done your homework. Any more questions?" Albert wasted no time, asking, "Could you please explain how you exist as nitrates and nitrites in water and soil?" Nitrogen quickly responded, "That is part of the nitrogen cycle." She picked up her bag, inviting us for a walk while explaining the nitrogen cycle in detail. As we strolled, she informed us, "Even though I am abundant in the air, plants and animals cannot directly obtain nitrogen from the atmosphere. When organic matter, like plant and animal waste, decomposes, it releases nitrogen into the soil. Certain bacteria aid in converting the nitrogen into ammonia. Other bacteria then transform ammonia into nitrites, followed by conversion into nitrates. Nitrates are a form readily absorbed by plants." I interjected, "So these bacteria are found in the soil?" She affirmed, "Some reside in the soil while others colonize the root nodules of leguminous plants like beans, soybeans, alfalfa, and clover. These plants provide an excellent habitat for nitrogen-fixing bacteria." Mole added, "My mom, a botanist, mentioned that planting legume plants amidst other crops is beneficial, as their root nodules facilitate nitrogen fixation." Nitrogen smiled and agreed, "Exactly." Albert deduced, "So humans and animals acquire nitrogen from their food?" Nitrogen confirmed, "Yes. And nitrogen can also enter the soil through lightning strikes. The strong energy from lightning or volcanic eruptions can break the covalent bond of nitrogen, which is typically inert and unusable by plants. This results in nitrogen combining with oxygen to form oxides, which mix with rainwater and enter the soil. Another way to add nitrogen to the soil is through fertilizers, although it is essential to use them judiciously. Excessive nitrogen from fertilizers can run off, pollute groundwater, and disrupt the ecosystems of nearby streams, ponds, and rivers. I diligently noted down her explanations as we continued along dirt roads. I inquired, "So it is called the nitrogen cycle because nitrogen can be released back into the air from the soil?" "You are on the right track," replied Nitrogen. "Certain bacteria convert nitrates into nitrogen, which is then released into the air. Nitrogen gets depleted in the soil when crops are harvested, or when nitrogen leaches into nearby water sources, as I mentioned earlier. However, it is replenished through the processes we discussed." By then, we had walked a few miles, and soon we arrived at an organic farm. Nitrogen pointed out the compost heaps. Mole exclaimed, "We make compost in our nursery. Compost is organic matter that enriches the soil with nitrogen compounds for plant growth. Nitrogen nodded with a beaming smile. By now, our water bottles were empty, and we were feeling parched. Nitrogen noticed and suggested, "It looks like you're thirsty and possibly hungry. Who is up for some ice-cold lemonade and nitrogen ice cream?" We all cheered and followed her to a large tent, where we found a massive cooler stocked with lemonade, water, and heavy cream. On the table, we spotted vanilla flavoring, brown sugar, chocolate chips, pretzel bags, and cream-filled cookies, along with bowls and utensils. We helped ourselves to water and lemonade, instantly feeling refreshed. There was also a sizable flask on the floor, along with the ladle. I asked, "What is in that flask?" Nitrogen replied, "That is a dipper that holds liquid nitrogen." Nitrogen N2 is a non-polar molecule, which means that the electrons in the covalent bond are shared equally by the two nitrogen atoms. Non-polar molecules have very low boiling point. Nitrogen's boiling point is negative 196 degrees Celsius, so we need to gear up for safety. We donned goggles, long gloves, and substantial aprons, and Nitrogen revealed, "We are going to make liquid nitrogen ice cream." Soon we were stirring heavy cream, vanilla, brown sugar, and chocolate chips into a large stainless steel bowl. Nitrogen opened the dipper and started pouring the liquid nitrogen into the bowl. It was pale blue in color and started boiling right away. We all screamed with joy as the cool mist slowly rose up. Mole remarked to Nitrogen, "Now I see why you're wearing blue." We kept stirring for a few more minutes till the mixture turned into an ice cream consistency. We eagerly ladled the ice cream into bowls and enjoyed it to our heart's content. Pointing to the sweet, cream-filled cookies, Nitrogen said, "Guess how the cream is sitting nicely in this sandwich cookie?" We all cried out, "With the help of nitrogen." "Yes," replied Nitrogen and added, "Quick freezing of food can be done by passing the food through a cryogenic tunnel filled with cool nitrogen. For example, frozen fruits and veggies." We all applauded and yelled out, "Yay!" Then we opened the pretzel packets and started munching them. Picking up a pretzel bag, Nitrogen asked, "Can you tell me how the pretzels stay nice and crunchy and not soggy in this bag before opening it?" Albert replied, "The bag is filled with nitrogen." Nitrogen responded, "Yes, however, there is one use that I'm not proud of. Nitrogen is used in explosives such as TNT." Mole jumped in and said softly, "Hopefully, people will use nitrogen wisely." We all nodded in agreement. Albert was curious about why the family was called Nictogens. Nitrogen explained, "It stems from a Greek word that means to suffocate. In an environment rich in nitrogen with no oxygen, suffocation can occur. That's why our family is known as the Nictogen family." As we wrapped up our gathering and tidied everything, I suddenly remembered that Mole had not yet inquired about nitrogen treatment for water removal. I asked, "Oh, could you please enlighten us about the medical uses of nitrogen? I have heard about nitrogen treatment for warts." Nitrogen smiled and said, "Medical research laboratories, hospitals, and reproductive technology facilities utilize cryogenic nitrogen to preserve cells, eggs, and sperm. Dermatologists employ cryogenic nitrogen to treat warts, benign and malignant skin tumors. In the case of warts, a doctor will use a cryoprobe to apply liquid nitrogen directly to the wart, eradicating the virus-infected cells and providing an effective treatment." Mole heaved a sigh of relief and nodded gratefully to Nitrogen. We expressed our heartfelt thanks to Nitrogen and said our goodbyes. Upon our return to Mole's nursery, we recounted our adventure meeting Nitrogen to Mole's mom. Soon, Albert's family arrived to pick him up, and I set off on my bike with Electron bounding alongside me. I excitedly shared my ice cream making adventure with Electron, who responded with joyful barks, as if she understood me. I thought to myself, wait until my family hears about the ice cream recipe. Perhaps we can make it for my next birthday celebration. Thanks for listening. Happy learning.